Hello, you're welcome to Yvonne Winifred UG. My name is Yvonne and today we'll be cutting and sewing an off-shoulder dress. So this is the fabric I'm using today and I've already folded it into two according to the largest measurement that I have here, which is the hip measurement of 40 inches divided by 4. I have 10 inches as you see there, and then I added like 3 inches since I'll be gathering it with an elastic band, and that 1 inch for seam allowance, and I'll be having 14 inches. So altogether folded 14 inches in the width, and then the length I have like 42 inches. But since it is an off-shoulder dress, we take off like 5 or 4 inches from up. So you just place your measuring tape just like that. You start it from 5 inches. Remember, there's that part that will be off, the upper part. But since I'll be folding and placing an elastic band, I've increased it to 3 inches. So I've still gone up to 3 inches. So I'll be starting from 3 inches. The other 2 inches are for seam allowance where the elastic band will sit. So after that, you can just cut out your piece that you will be working with, or you can even leave it just as I did there. So now we'll be taking our armhole. So to get the armhole area, or to carve out our armhole, I just considered like 8.5 inches and added like half an inch for, for ease allowance. It is not supposed to be so tight. And with the width, I moved in by 3 inches. That is on average. From on the top there, the width I considered 3 inches. I moved in from the edge by 3 inches, and then I will carve out the armhole. So I've carved out the armhole as you see there. Remember to place the measuring tape just like that. Remember, we are minusing some 5 inches and the 2 inches sewing allowance, so it is 3 inches from the edge. Then I just carve out accordingly, just as we carve out the the armhole area on other dresses. So you carve out, but putting in mind that there are some the upper part is not supposed to be there, or there will be some part that won't be there. So that is how you place your measuring tape. So now I have my front and back pieces just cut the same way. Everything is just similar, no zip allowance, nothing, everything is similar. So measuring this armhole curve area, I will be using it to cut out my sleeves. So I have to consider this measurement there. So to before folding out the fabric that I'll be using, I considered the measurement of the armhole area and folded out. It was like 9 inches plus more 3 inches, because we'll be gathering these two with an elastic band, and like plus half an inch sewing allowance. So that's what I have. And then my length is about 23 inches, seam allowance inclusive, as you see there. But remember, even as you're cutting this sleeve, you have to put your measuring tape starting at the 3 inches we considered. You see it there. So we continue. Two ways of cutting that sleeve. Remember, we have to cut out the curved area of the armhole. So you can just go ahead as we did in the first place on the main part, or the main fabric, the main bodies, and you just cut it out as we did 3 inches, and then you go down using your 9 inches, or you can just bring your main fabric and just duplicate it exactly on this sleeve part, just as I'm doing here. I just brought the front part still on fold, and I unfold and just duplicated it just as you see there on the edge of the sleeve fabric, or the fabric we're considering for our sleeve. So you just mark it out, and then you come at the wrist area, that is after marking it like that, so on the sleeve, and then you connect it to the wrist area. The wrist, I think I considered 4 inches plus more 3 inches for gathering it up, and 1 inch sewing allowance. So bringing my tape, let me show you how I did. This is 4 inches at the wrist area, and then I added more 3 inches, making it 7 plus 1 inch, that is 8 sewing allowance. And then from the other 1 inch I considered on the length as seam allowance, I added more half an inch. As you see there, it is half an inch more, just to be on the safer side as I'm folding, because I'll be also passing the elastic around that wrist area to gather it up. It looks so nice when it is gathered. So I have my 2 sleeves cut out. I went ahead also and cut a belt. I'll be considering a belt. It is 2.5 inches folded in width, and then like 70 inches in length, and these are my 2 back and front pieces. So I think from here we'll be heading to the sewing area. So with sewing, I'll start with this belt. I'll close up right sides facing each other, this belt, and then close up those 2 ends, and then I'll get my sleeves and add them to the cuff, the armhole area, and then sew everything together. So now I've finished here sewing my belt. It is done. I will just press it with the ironing box. Now to sew the sleeves, or to join the sleeve with the main fabric, I considered 1 sleeve. I sewed 1 part of the sleeve to 1 part of the front, and then I'll use that same sleeve and sew that other part to the back area. That's how I sew everything. But if you don't want that method, you can just do the normal method. You close up the sleeve, then you join it to the main fabric. After closing the sides of the fabric, the main fabric, you just close up the sleeve where it is supposed to be closed, this sleeve part, and connect it to the main part. But here, that is the method I use. So here I've closed 1 side of the sleeve to the back, and that same sleeve I take the other part and connect it to the front. So I do the same on the other side. Still 1 sleeve I connect it to first maybe the back part, and then to the other front part, and that will be done. And after there, I just sew everything together, join the sides. So after there, I'll just fold 1 inch and another inch at the top part all round, so that I pass my elastic. Remember to leave like 2 or 3 inches in the middle where the elastic will be passed. So I do the same even on the wrist area of the sleeve. Remember, even the upper part of the sleeve is going to be gathered with elastic, so we are sewing everything together at the upper part. So here I am sewing everything together with that 1 inch seam allowance, and that is where my elastic will sit. Just there, I've sewn part of it, and I'll just continue and finish everything together, leaving some space. So here I've finished sewing everything together on the upper part, the top part where the elastic will sit. I left some inches there unsewn, and I'll use that to pass my stick. So this entire part is like 1 inch, so my elastic is supposed to be close to that or less than that. It will be like 3/4 of an inch, so that it goes through that part smoothly. So I'll do the same on the sleeve. My sleeve here is about 3/4 of an inch, and my elastic should be like 1/2 an inch or less than the 3/4, that space that we have, so that it passes through smoothly. So with my safety pin here, I'll just pass it in this elastic, and that is what I will use to, push this entire elastic into the other space that we left. So this elastic is about 1.5 inches, but I want like less than an inch for this upper part, and then like 1/2 an inch for the wrist area of the sleeve. So that's what I'm considering, and I'll pass it all around, considering the measurement of the person I'm making the dress for. Sometimes you can just measure the round of shoulder measurement all around and consider that as you're cutting the elastic. So after everything, this is what I have. I've passed the elastic on the wrist area and the other top part of the dress. I've attached the belt. The hem is all finished very well, and that is the dress, guys. I cannot try it on. It is not my dress, but I know it will fit her so well. So I'm just recording this before she puts it on. I don't have the photos yet, but I know you can learn something, or you've learned something. Just go ahead, subscribe, like, and share this video to whoever might find it so useful. And I'll see you soon. Bye bye. Thank you always.